And now let's move to the next topic, Yersinia, Pasturella, and Francisella. So how did Yersinia acquire its name? Mention its important species. So the genus Yersinia is named after Alexander Yersin, a Swiss scientist who discovered the bacterium responsible for plague, known as the plague bacillus. So some of its important species are Yersinia pestis, Yersinia enterolocatica, and Y. Pseudotuberculosis. These are primary pathogens of rodents. So, ang Yersinia pestis, it is plague, a serious infection disease. Primarily affects rodents or mga daga, and it is transmitted through human fleas. Ang Yersinia enterocolitica naman ay gastroenteritis leading to diarrhea and abdominal pain, often found in contaminated food or water. Ang Y. pseudotuberculosis, similar to Y. enterocolitica, it can lead to gastrointestinal issues and commonly affects rodents and can be transmitted to humans. So, which species of Yersinia causes plague? Important member among the three species is Yersinia. Y. pestis, Y. enterocolitica, and Y. pseudotuberculosis causing human infection is Y. pestis, which is causative agent of plague. So, Y. pestis is the bacterium responsible for causing plague, which can lead to severe illness. Let's talk about the morphological characteristics of Y. pestis. It is gram-negative bacilli, short and plump. Size is 1.5 micrometer height and 0.7 micrometer width. Rounded ends with convex sides. Non-motile and non-sporing but capsulated. Arrangement singly or in short chains. Methylene blue stain, safety pin appearance, two ends densely stained and central area clear. Pleomorphism is common and enhanced in 3% sodium-containing media. So, ang morphological characteristic ng Yersinia pestis or yung Y. pestis is it is a gram-negative bacilli. The bacterium is classified as gram-negative, meaning it does not retain the crystal violet stain used in the gram staining process. Y. pestis is short and plump, measuring about 1.5 micrometers long and 0.5 micrometers wide. It has rounded ends and convex sides. This bacterium does not have the ability to move on its own. It's non-motile and does not form spores, but it has its protective outer layer called the capsule, which helps it evade the immune system. Ang bacteria na to ay can be found singly or in short chains. When stained with methylene blue, Y. pestis shows a unique safety pin as you can see in the image. Mukha siyang pardible, meaning the two ends of the bacteria are densely stained while the center area is clear. This bacteria can vary in shape and size, which ayun yung term na pleomorphism, especially when grown in media containing 3% of sodium, which enhances these variations. And now let's talk about the cultural characteristics. So, aerobe and facultative anaerobe grows at 2 degrees to 45 degrees Celsius, optimum temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, and optimum pH of 7.2, can grow on ordinary media like nutrient agar. So, Y. pestis is both anaerobe or it needs oxygen, and the facultative anaerobe and can grow without oxygen. So, it can grow in a wide temperature of 2 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius, and the pH optimal growth is 7.2, which is neutral. Y. pestis can grow on ordinary media, just like the Vibrio, such as nutrient agar, making it easy to culture in a lab. So moving on the biochemical reactions of Y. pestis. So it is in catalase, Y. pestis is positive. Y. pestis can produce the enzyme catalase, which helps break down the peroxide. So, in lactose fermentation naman, it is negative. It means that Y. pestis does not ferment lactose, meaning it cannot use lactose as a food source. Sa glucose fermentation, it is a positive. It can ferment glucose, producing acid and gas as a byproduct. In mannitol fermentation, it is also positive. It means that Y. pestis can ferment mannitol. It is another type of sugar. So, sorbitol fermentation naman, it is negative. It does not ferment sorbitol, obviously. In indole production, it is also negative. This means it does not produce indole from tryptophan. In metal red test, it is positive, indicate strong acid production from glucose fermentation. In Vogt-Presker test, it is negative. This means it does not produce acetone from glucose fermentation. And lastly, in citrate utilization, it is negative also, means that Y. pestis cannot use citrate as its sole carbon source. Next, let's move to mention the effects of temperature, disinfectants, and bacteriophage on survival of Y. pestis. So, in temperature, Y. pestis can survive for months in cold conditions, such as in refrigeration. Um, this bacterium is easily but this bacterium is easily destroyed by heat, like cooking and drying, which makes these methods effective for eliminating it. Number two is in disinfectants. Yersinia pestis is easily destroyed by various disinfectants. This includes common cleaning agents that can effectively kill the bacteria on surface. So that means Y. pestis can kill by bleaches. And bacteriophage, specific anti-plague bacteriophage, all strains of Y. pestis are lysed or sumasabog, killed by specific bacteriophages when incubated at 22 degrees Celsius. This means that this virus can target and destroy the bacteria. And now we're going to describe the pathogenesis of Y. pestis. Y. pestis causes a zoonotic disease, plague, transmitted by bite of flea, Xenopsilia chopsis. Flea-wingless insect had two hind legs, with which it jumps from rat to rat or rat to man, cannot attain height more than 2 feet. In humidity, they survive longer in Indian climate for 47 days. So, how can we describe the pathogenesis of Y. pestis? Yersinia pestis causes plague, which is a disease that primarily affects animals, especially yung mga daga, but can also affect humans. So it means it is a zoonotic. It means it it affects animals that can transmit to humans. So the bacteria are mainly transmitted to humans through the bite of infected fleas, particularly the Xenopsilia chopsis flea. So ang flea characteristics naman ay fleas are wingless insects that have strong hind legs, enabling them to jump from one host to another, like from rat to a man. So they typically cannot jump higher than 2 feet. So fleas can survive longer in humid conditions. In the Indian climate, they can live for about 47 days, making it easier for them to spread the bacteria during outbreaks. Let's describe the process of transmission from rodents to humans. So rat flea bites a diseased rat, sucks blood containing bacilli, infection of flea, multiplication in stomach of flea, blacks proventriculus bites other rodent bacteria regurgitated into site of bite. When diseased rat dies, flea leaves carcass and in absence of other rats may bite humans, plague in human populations. So, can describe I will describe it ng isa-isa. So, rat flea bites a diseased rat. So, ang pulgas is kakagatin ang infected rat and makakain ito yung dugo nito. So, the flea bites an infected rat to feed on its blood. So while feeding, the flea ingests blood that contains Yersinia pestis bacteria. So the bacteria infect the flea, allowing it to carry the pathogen. So the bacteria multiply in the flea's stomach. So the bacterial growth can block part of the flea's digestive system, the proventriculus. So the flea then bites another rodent o yung ibang daga, which can also be infected. When the flea bites, it regurgitates the bacteria into the wound, infected the new host. If the infected rat dies, the flea will leave the carcass. In the absence of other rats, the flea may bite humans. So, this leads to the spread of plagues among humans. So, there are two natural cycles through which plague spreads, urban and wild. So, in urban or domestic style, so urban or domestic cycle, these cycles primarily involves humans and domestic rodents like rats and mice. So, the infected fleas can then bite humans, transmitting Yersinia pestis and causing plague outbreaks in the urban areas. Please, yung paano ba ito nangyayari, itong urban or domestic cycle? yung fleas or yung pulgas is kakagatin yung infected na daga. So, yung infected na pulgas na to can then bite humans, transmitting Y. pestis and causing plague outbreaks in their urban areas. Ang pangalawa naman is yung wild or sylvatic cycle. This cycle involves wild rodents such as squirrels, chipmunks, and mice. So, wild rodents can become infected with Y. pestis through bite from infected fleas. So, this cycle can lead to infection in wildlife population but may eventually spill over into human populations if humans come into contact with infected animals or their fleas. And now describe the clinical features of plague. We have the bubonic plague. So, bubonic plague, after incubation period ito is its symptoms appear 2 to 5 days after infections. The symptoms are enlarged lymph nodes. The lymph nodes near the site of infections, usually where a flea bit, usually ito yung kung saan kumagat yung pulgas, becomes swollen and painful. These are often inguinal growing lymph nodes. The swollen glands may become filled with pus. The plaque bacteria can enter the bloodstream, leading to a severe infection, which is called septicemia. Next is septicemic plague. These occur when the bacteria are present in the blood. So the symptoms are the bacteria can damage blood vessels, causing bleeding under the skin and in mucous membranes. This can lead to dark spots or gangrene, which is why it was historically called the Black Death. The third one is pneumonic plague. Bacterial particles can travel to the lungs, often through the bloodstream or when infected droplets are inhaled. This form can spread from person to person through the air or in droplet infections. Ang mga symptoms nito is patients typically experience high fever and severe cough. Coughing may produce mucus that is tinged with blood. And patients may experience significant respiratory distress. Ayun nga yung pananakit ng chest and paghirap sa paghinga. As the disease progresses, patients may develop cyanosis, bluish discoloration on the skin, and a circulatory failure, leading to a very high fatality rate. And now we're going to talk about the epidemiology of plague. So, plague is found in many areas of India. Before the birth of Christ, there were 41 recorded epidemics. In the following 15 centuries, there were 109 more worldwide. Between 1500 and 1700, there were 45 pandemics related to plague. The 18th and 19th centuries saw a lull in plague activity. The last significant pandemic occurred in 1894. India was free from plague from 1967 to 1933. But in 1994, there were outbreaks in various Indian states including Gujarat, Maharashtra, Delhi, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh, which are considered the recent outbreaks. So in 1994, there was a case of bubonic plague in Bid or Maharashtra and an outbreak of pneumonic plague in Surat. So dun nagsimula yung types of plague. How is Y. pestis infection determined through laboratory diagnosis? So it can be determined through the collection of specimens. So the specimens are buboexudates, sputum, and blood. Buboexudates are yung mga fluid from swollen lymph nodes called buboes. Yung sputum naman is phlegma and blood is dugo. So collection method is the fluid from bubo is collected using a sterile needle syringe following strict cleanliness measure to avoid contamination. In microscopic examination, we have gram stain and methylene blue stain. In culture method naman is we have nutrient agar and blood agar. And what can be done to prevent Y. pestis infections? So, to prevent infection caused by Yersinia pestis, several measures can be taken. So, of course, first is the control of fleas and rodents. Keeping rodents populations under control and using flea treatments can help reduce the spread of this bacteria. People who vaccination, people who work in high-risk environments like laboratories or areas with known outbreaks can receive a vaccine to protect themselves against plague. Taking antibiotics such as tetracycline for 5 days can help prevent infection after exposures to bacteria. Those are called chemoprophylaxis. Mention the characteristic features and pathogenicity of Yersinia tuberculosis and Yersinia enterocolitica. So, both Yersinia pseudotuberculosis and Yersinia enterocolitica are related to Y. pestis, but they have some different features. So, it differs from Y. pestis in the following aspects. Pseudotuberculosis and Y. enterocolitica do not grow well in the medium, specifically the Muncopis agar, unlike Y. pestis. They can move around at cooler temperatures but not at body temperatures. So it means that they are motile. Next is they are urease positive. Both species produce urease, which helps them survive in different environments. They are not affected by, excuse me, they are not affected by specific viruses, also called bacteriophages, that can kill Y. pestis. Pseudotuberculosis is a zoonotic disease, meaning it can be transmitted from animals to humans. So in animals such as guinea pigs, rabbits, and birds can get infected through their digestive system, which is called yung alimentary tract. The infection leads to disease outbreaks, also called the epizootic, and ongoing disease in a specific area, or enzootic, that looks similar to tuberculosis. The disease is characterized by the formation of multiple nodules in the liver, spleen, and lungs, much like what happens in tuberculosis. That's why it's called pseudotuberculosis. In humans, they can get infected by eating food or drinking water contaminated sa mga dumi ng animals. So, the infection can cause serious illnesses that resembles typhoid fever, which may be fatal. So, yung mga symptoms nito are including hematosplenemegaly, or ito yung pamamaga ng liver and spleen. Purpura ay yung mga purple spots on the skin due to bleeding. Mesenteric lymphadenitis or inflammation ng lymph nodes sa abdomen. Or yung gastroenteritis or inflammation ng stomach and intestines leading to symptoms like diarrhea and stomach pains. So, paano na-isolate yung organism na ito? This involves growing the bacteria from like a sample, yung stool or blood in a laboratory. So, if the bacteria are present, they can be identified. So, this demonstrating antibodies in patient serum. So, this method checks for antibodies in the blood. So, antibodies are proteins that the immune system produces in response to infections. So, if antibodies specific to why pseudotuberculosis are found, it indicates that the person has been infected. Next one naman is yung Yersinia enterocolitica or yung Y. enterocolitica. So, it is a gram-negative Coccobacillus, meaning it has a rod-like shape and doesn't retain the crystal violet staining using gram staining. So this bacteria is motile, or it can move at 22 degrees Celsius, which is cooler than the normal body temperature. So its best growth temperature is also 22 degrees Celsius. It can grow on blood agar and Muncopis agar, where it forms small, pinpoint colonies that do not ferment lactose. So, many strains of Yersinia enterocolitica test positive for indole and the Voges Posker or yung VP test, indicating certain metabolic processes. So, yung pathogenesis ng bacterium na to, it can cause 3 main types of disease in humans. So, sa mga bata, the infection usually results in self-limited disease, meaning it resolves on its own without severe complications. Sa mga medyo matatandang bata naman, it can lead to mesenteric adenitis or yung inflammation or pamamaga ng lymph nodes sa abdomen, and inflammatory ileitis or yung inflammation naman ng last part of the small intestine. Sa mga adult, the infection may cause a systemic disease that includes bacteremia, presence of bacteria in the blood, meningitis or yung infection of the protective membranes covering the brain and spinal cord, arthralgia or yung pamamaga ng joint or yung pananakit ng mga joints, erythema nodosum or yung painful red bumps on the skin. And sa laboratory diagnosis naman, to confirm an infection caused by Y. enterocolitica, doctor can use two main methods. So we have the isolation of the organisms, involves the growing of bacteria from sample like blood or stool in a lab to see its presence, and demonstrating antibodies in patient serum, just like yung Y to the tuberculosis. This test looks for antibodies in the blood that the immune system produced in response to the infections. So kapag nakita na or kapag na-indicate yung antibodies na ito, ni-distinguish yung certain bacterium na to. Next one is we have the Pasteurella. So, distinguish the picture of Pasteurella. So, morphology is Pasteurella is a gram-negative bacillus, which means it appears as rod-shaped bacteria that do not hold the gram stain. It is non-motile, meaning it cannot move on its own. So, ang difference nito sa Yersinia or sa Yersinia is Pasteurella is oxidase positive, which means it has a specific enzyme that react with oxygen. So, it is also indole positive, indicating that it can produce indole from the breakdown of certain amino acids. So, yung mga species ng Pasteurella includes P. multocida. This species primarily causes hemorrhagic septicemia or in animals na nagkakos ng death. So, yung pathogenicity naman ito is Pasteurella does not grow on Munchausen's agar, which is used to differentiate bacteria based on their ability to ferment lactose. So, infection ito sa human, it can cause causes of infections often occur after animal bites or trauma. So, sa clinical features naman, at the site of local symptoms at the site of an animal bite, symptoms include redness and swelling around the bite, a deeper skin infection causing redness and swelling, or yung cellulitis. A collection of pus that forms under the skins, that's called abscess. Am I correct? Abscess, and the infection of the bone, also called osteomyelitis. So, yung other infection ng Pasteurella can occur after a head injury or yung meningitis and can affect the lungs and breathing or respiratory tract infections. So, yung mga treatment naman ito is include tetracycline, and mga antibiotics include tetracycline and streptomycin, which help fight the infection. And the last one is distinguish the features of Francisella tularensis. So, Francisella tularensis causes tularemia, a disease primarily affecting rabbits and other rodents. So, the infection is transmitted through ticks or mga garapata and other arthropod vectors. So, yung morphology ng Francisella tularensis, it is a gram-negative bacillus, meaning it appears as rod-shaped bacteria that do not retain the gram stains. Yung size ng bacteria nito ay measuring about 0.3 to 0.7 in height and 0.2 micrometers in width. It has a capsule but it's non-motile, meaning it cannot move on its own. So yung cultural characteristic ng Francisella tularensis, it is a specific growth requirement is considered fastidious, meaning it needs special conditions to grow. It grows on special media like Francis blood dextrose cystine agar, forming tiny transparent colonies after 3 to 5 days. Pathogenicity, infection in humans can occur through direct contact with infected animals, ingestion of contaminated meat or water, inhalation of contaminated aerosols. So let's talk about the laboratory diagnosis or the clinical representations. So in humans, F. tularemia can manifest as local ulceration or yung a sore at the site of contact, lymphadenitis or yung pamamaga ng lymph nodes, typhoid-like fever, influenza like respiratory infection, so symptoms similar to the flu. So yung treatment naman ito is mga antibiotics such as streptomycin is the preferred drug for treating tularemia. Prophylaxis is yung vaccines. A live attenuated vaccine is available for people at high risk of exposure.